Hi guys, how are you doing today? Take a look at this beautiful low sugar, fresh cream, fresh fruit, DIY birthday cakes for beginners I'm making today. We're doing a vanilla strawberry and a vanilla almond cake. Beautiful, simple, and anyone can do this with fresh cream like I said. Welcome to my channel guys. So here, we're gonna start with making the cake flour. We have a cup and a half flour. For every cup of flour you remove 2 tablespoons of flour and replace it back with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So we have 1.5 cup flour. We're going to do 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and remove 3 tablespoons of flour. Then we're going to give it a whisk around and then sift it 3 to 4 times. I did sift it 2 times already. I'm going to do it here for demonstration 2 more times. But I'm going to use the whisk to whisk it around a bit because I don't want it to fly around all over the table. In the meantime, while I'm doing that, I have here half a cup of milk. And I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of vinegar. Because vinegar will create an acidity in the milk that will help us to break down the gluten in the flour. And when the gluten is break down, the volume increases in the cake. Now we're sifting the flour to remove the lumps and also to have a very fine consistency of the flour. And when we take out the 3 tablespoons of flour and replace it with cornstarch, we're lowering the gluten in the flour. So the lower the gluten in the flour, the lighter your cake will be. So we're making the cake flour here. I will add half a teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of baking powder and then sift it again and set it aside. The eggs at room temperature, we have the yolk separate from the white. We have 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I have a cup of almond here crushed. I have some vanilla extract like I mentioned and some almond extract as well. We have 4 tablespoons of butter and 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. You can just use all coconut oil or all butter. I'm just using a blend. Now we have 3/4 cup of sugar. This is the low sugar cake. And the thing is, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar separate to make a light syrup. And then I will take out again another 2 tablespoons of sugar to add into the egg whites. We are distributing the sugar in layers. So we have a nice gradual taste of the cake that is not too sweet. And then the rest of it we'll add it into the egg yolk. So right now, whisking the egg whites, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then whisk it to firm peak and set it aside. Now, when you're whisking the egg white, whisk it in high speed. You want to incorporate a lot of air bubble in it. And when you're whisking the egg yolk, you want to whisk in a high speed as well to a pale yellow. You want to make sure that the sugar grains are dissolved before adding any other ingredients. So this process takes about 5 to 7 minutes or so. And keep in mind, you scoop it down in between. Turn your KitchenAid off and scoop down and keep mixing, okay? So what we do now, I'm going to add all the liquid ingredients. I'm going to add the coconut oil, then I will add the butter and 2 tablespoons of vanilla. And then we'll mix them slowly and scoop down the pan gradually. And keep mixing them to incorporate it really well. This process you can whisk it on high speed because nothing will happen. The more you whisk it, the more air bubbles incorporate into the egg yolk mixture. And then it's better for your cake as well. So in the meantime, while that is mixing, I have the flour mixture already set. And we're going to add it right after this cake. The liquid is mixed. We'll gradually add the flour there. In two steps. We'll add half of it and half of the milk, mixed the milk with the vinegar, and then we'll add the other half of flour and the other quarter of the milk. You know, we'll just half and half. So you mix it gradually. This way we'll have no lumps in your cake. And then we will set it aside. So once that is mixed, we have the egg white already prepared. I prepare a baking pan. You can brush your baking pan with butter or oil and dust it with flour and set aside, or line it with parchment paper like I did. I'm using a springform pan. I find it easier to use. You can use any pan you're comfortable with. And now we have the almond here. I'm gonna add almond. I processed in the fruit processor to really fine crumbs, and I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of almond extract to enhance the flavor of the almond. So what I did, I boiled the almond first, removed the peel, and then I fried it with 2 tablespoons of oil and drain it on a paper towel and process it. Okay, now I'm incorporating the egg white into the egg yolk batter. Fold it in gently. Try not to take out too much of the air bubble. You want to keep them in there, and you wanna mix it in well so you don't have pieces of egg white inside of the egg yolk batter. Incorporate it well. So what you do, you cut it the way I did. You turn from the side to side, cut in the middle, side to side, cut in the middle, and you scoop it down a little, something like that. Okay. I have some other cake videos up there. You can take another look at a much clearer demonstration than if you want to double check some of them. And now we will pour the cake into the cake pan, the cake batter. Oh, I forgot to mention. So when we fold in the egg white, I add half of the almond. You can see the pieces in the cake, right? Half of it, and I keep the other half to fill the cake. So we're baking the almond cake right now. The almond vanilla. And the other one is just a vanilla cake, which I set it aside. Same process. It's just there's no almond in that one. And we're going to start decorating. Now the key to this cake is that I'm starting it on a cold oven. It sounds crazy, right? My oven is at, my oven at 300 degrees. I let the cake bake for 40 to 55 minutes. We check until it's done. You need a few more minutes, and then we take it out. What happened, I bake cake before on preheat oven, but especially those egg white cakes that you're folding in, and they get a hole. And I find that when I start in a cold oven, as the temperature rises to reach 300, the cake is cooking slowly, so there's no deflation happening. So if you give this a try, you guys, you will not regret it. You will love this technique. So I bake. Now we remove the parchment paper from the cake, and we let it cool down, and then slice it in half. So this cake here, I bake it secretly on August 19th, and I hid it in my fridge. And take a look at it when you cut it open. You see those air bubbles? Really light and fluffy. Really light and fluffy. It smells so good. The almond smells so good here. And so what we do now, I'm going to trim off the ends. I'll bring it a little closer first. And so you see, be careful when you pick it up so you don't break it. You know, it's really fragile and soft and light and springy. Very nice, right? Take a look at the other one. But what I'm going to do is trim off those edges in the corner. And then I'll take those edges and put it in my fruit processor. And process it into fine crumbs. And I'll fold it into the almond I have. So I'll use that to fill the cake with it. So you're really not losing anything. Now the other cake I have here, see that's a vanilla cake I bake. Same process. It's cooled down. I use a cookie sheet and I cut the circle out. I have some berries. I'm baking a birthday cake for my son. So every year I make him a birthday cake. Actually, every year we think of buying a cake and we always change our mind. Because, you know, a whipped cream cake is very expensive. And what I do, I make the cake and all the extra money I give to the birthday person. So I give my son or my daughter or whoever I'm making it for, we give it to them. And I make the cake with a lot of love and a lot of time. Healthier, you take out a lot of sugar from it. And, you know, more enjoyable cake you can really enjoy. And while the whipped cream is whipping, we add a pack of vanilla sugar. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar to sweeten, because we create a layer of sweetness in the cake. Because those berries is a little sweet and tart. You'll have a beautiful combination in the cake. Now when the whipped cream is at firm peak, we'll set aside. So we have the egg white ready. We have the egg yolk batter. The cake is already baked. It's cooled down. Now we're going to fill the cake. Now we cut the 3-layer cake. And each layer of the cake, we're going to add 2 cups of the whipped cream. But this is a quart of whipped cream, so we get a lot more whipped. You see that? A lot of it is there. We're going to add 2/3 of cup. Before we fill it in, we're going to soak each layer of the cake with a light syrup. Now the syrup is that you add a half a cup of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar that we took out earlier, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And you mix until all the sugar dissolves, and then you soak the cake, each layer of the cake. About a couple tablespoons it takes. And allow it to absorb for like a minute or 2, and then you add the whipped cream there. As you can see, I'm working with a whipped cream, but I did not add a stabilizer to keep the whipped cream. I'm working I want to show you that you can work with whipped cream without the stabilizer, but you have to work a little careful and move a little fast because it's really hot in the summer and whipped cream can break down and become watery quickly. So I'm moving a little slow, I feel not pushing it too much. And then we're going to work a little quickly and we'll put it into the you got to keep it in the refrigerator really quick. Now if you have a stabilizer, you can leave it a little longer, it will not break down easily. And they usually sell those whipped cream stabilizer in the baking aisle in the supermarket or maybe in your corner store. I doubt whether they have it there, but definitely in the supermarket I saw it. So I don't have any on hand, so I'm working without a stabilizer to show you can actually work with a whipped cream without it. And here I'm adding 1 cup of strawberry. In each layer we have 3 cups. I chopped up 3 cups of strawberries. And this is the end of the season for the summer, so we're getting the best out of all the strawberries they have there and all the other berries that are in season before the fall comes in. And now we put the strawberry there. Then I add another layer of cake. And then we'll do the same process 3 times. And then I'll crumb coat the whole cake right here. So we crumb coat it. And then the other cream that I have left over, we create a nice frosting layer on top. And as you can see that the layer will look a little rough. That's because we don't have a stabilizer to smooth it out. And let me tell you, to smooth it out, this spatula here doesn't do a good job. I take a typing paper, you know, the printing paper, and you fold it and you can smooth it with it. Or if you have one of those smoothing things that you use for cake. I don't know what you call it, but if you have one of those, it's fine. So I just level it out really good like that, and then I take a typing paper and you will see I smooth it out with a typing paper. I fold the edges and I just smooth it, become like that. Beautiful, right? Now time to clean up our working station and clean up our cake sides so it looks beautiful. And what we're gonna do now, we use up all the whipped creams to filling the cake and coating it, so there's no other cream left. So we're gonna garnish it with berries, all type of berries and mints. And we're gonna make here, I'm gonna make like a half moon with a rosette in the center. So I slice some berries to decorate in the corner of the cake, and then I use the extra pieces, create a rosette. The corner pieces of the berries. Those are the middle in that plate right there, and those are the corners. We're going to create a rosette. So all part of the berries is used. And now we create a nice rosette there, and then we're going to add some raspberry and some blueberries, and then use some mint to decorate it so it looks really pretty. And then we do the sides with some little bit of a little bouquet, little rose at the side also, like really pretty, you know. It's really simple and it's quick, and I think it's on the healthy side. It's not bad, right? For DIY birthday cake, I save a lot of money here. And my son, he loves it. He loves it so much because I put a love and energy and time. And if I can do this, anyone can do this. This is a wonderful cake for beginners. And now I'm gonna show you. We're gonna after he light it and blow the candle out, we're gonna cut it right now. Oh, some berries are falling there. So we're gonna cut it, and this is what happens. Look what it looks like, how beautiful it is inside when I pick it up. Take a look. Nice cream, a nice layer, and lots of strawberries in there. These guys can't wait to eat it. So beautiful, right? And what happened? This is the almond cake that the almond I fixed earlier. So on August 19th, I actually baked this cake in the day and hid it in the fridge. In the night, I frosted with my family sleeping. So on August 20th, when they woke up, they had this beautiful cake on the table, a nice cup of hot coffee, and the other one that had milk or whatever they like on the table. Take a look at this thick layer of cream filled with crumbled almonds in there. So beautiful. This was the most delicious cake ever. And like I said, you could just do berries single layer outside or add another layer. I had some extra berries. So this is only a 2-layer cake. I had a generous amount of whipped cream in there, a lot. And then we're gonna fill it with that other half a cup of almond that I had. We're gonna fill it inside. So I really don't want to make 2 separate videos because the cake were like the same process. I can just give you a quick detail, and I'm gonna have all the ingredients and the recipes in the description box for you to follow. And then we put another layer. This is a 2-layer cake. It's a thicker layer, and we brush it with the syrup also. And now I'm gonna crumb coat it again. Same process, you know. What we're gonna do though, we have a lot of cream left over, so we're gonna use the cream to decorate it and put it into a piping bag. And you can use a rose pipe tip, or you can just, if you don't have one, you can use a zipper bag, cut a smaller hole, and just use a smoother. Create your own design, you know, be a little creative on your own. So what happened here, we're just using, we're gonna make some quick rosette with a huge tip. And the key to this is that when you're piping this whipped cream in the piping bag, you don't want to handle it too much because it starts to melt. It will melt from the top and create water. So you want to push it on once, shake it on quickly, and hold it. And then hold it in the 60 degree angle. That's about what I have it there. And firm pressure. So when you hold it with one hand, you can create it, and you rotate with one hand. And then go with the circle, and it's really quick, you know. I remember the first time I started using whipped cream, it was a chaos. It was like a total chaos in my kitchen. The kitchen was hot, and I developed a habit to work quickly with it. If I can do this, anyone can do this. Trust me. And so, you know, you just do simple designs, and I find that when I tried to make leaves, it was all breaking and it started dripping. The whipped cream started to melt. That's when I learned how to use a stabilizer in the whipped cream. And here what we do, we use some leaves in between. We skip one section, and you know, and then I'll do another little rows in between there. We decorate it, but you could just do 8 strawberries and drizzle some of those almond crumbs in the center, and it's beautiful. But I had some extra berries and those second layer inside to fill it with a lot more fruit, so my family can have more strawberries. They can eat more, you know. Strawberries are really delicious. The season is going out. And so we fill there with another little quick rosette, you know, and you don't need to smooth this cream too much. Just use like a little comb, a baking comb, and just scoop the edges to create a little groove on it. And we just use those strawberry to push it in. So even if you make a little mistake, it still looks beautiful, you know. I do have a little mistake there. I can see it. Yeah, so there we decorated some strawberries, and then, you know, I cut it, and look at a thick layer of cream in the middle with almond. It was so good with some hot cup of coffee in the morning. That was a total surprise when I was doing it for my family. I surprised them with this cake, and my son had the most beautiful berry birthday cake. So thank you guys so much for watching my YouTube channel, and show love and support to my home cooking for all my wonderful and delicious recipes. I do hope you give this cake recipe a try. It's really not that difficult to do. If I can do this, like I said, you can do it. It looks really fabulous. You save a lot of money.